All right, how you doing today? This is part two, the critical race theory. Understanding current conversations about critical race theory. I'm Jason Williams,
I'm Justin Thomas.
and this is our project.
So first we got critical race theory. Critical race theory is not about blaming anyone or dividing people by race. It's a way of understanding how racism goes beyond individual actions or hateful words. It's a tool for looking at how racism is built into our systems, laws, and structures that shape our lives every day. Think about it the way neighbors are segregated and how schools are funded nowadays, or how people of color are treated differently in the legal system, not by accident, but because of the long-standing systems that were built a long time ago with the inequality at their core. Critical race theory was developed by legal scholars like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell. They noticed something important. Even after the civil rights movements and new laws that said everyone should be treated equally, racial inequality didn't magically disappear. Because just making new laws isn't enough if the old systems are still in place. You can't just paint over the cracks in the foundations and expect the house to be strong. Critical race theory says we need to look at the foundation itself, how racism has shaped American institutions from the very beginning, and ask questions about what real justice looks like. You can go to the next. Next, we got the summary of Nicole Hannah Jones. I think this is the same ideal as the heart of Nicole Hannah Jones. She asks us to shift our focus from 1776 to 1619, the year when the first enslaved Africans were brought to English colonies in what would be the United States. It was a turning point that marked the beginning of more than 250 years of slavery, followed by another century of segregation and discrimination. Hannah Jones challenges the idea that Black Americans were just victims of this history, and she argues that Black people have always been active participants in pushing America towards its highest ideals. When the Founding Fathers wrote that all men are created equal, they didn't mean everyone, but Black Americans held them to their words, marching, protesting, and fighting for a definition of democracy that actually included everyone. She calls all Black Americans the true founding fathers of this country. Because throughout history, it has so often been Black people who demanded the expansion of rights, not just for themselves, but for everyone, for all of us. They were the ones who fought to make the Constitution promises a reality, even when our system was designed to lead them out. This essay highlights the accomplishments, resistance, and reliances of Black Americans today.
All right. And I will be talking about the controversy over Miss Jones joining the Howard University over North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So the backlash against the 1619 project didn't stay on the page. In 2021, Nicole Hannah Jones was offered a prestigious position at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Despite her Pulitzer Prize and groundbreaking work, the university's board of trustees initially refused to grant her tenure. This sparked major controversy. Critics saw the refusal not as an academic decision, but as a politically motivated move, one driven by conservative pressure and discomfort with her emphasis on slavery, Black contribution to American life. This situation escalated. There were protests, national news coverage, even a public reckoning over how universities handled race, academic freedom, and public pressure. Eventually, UNC reversed its decision and offered her tenure, but by then the damage was done. Hannah Jones declined the offer, instead choosing to teach at Howard University, a historically Black college institution with a long tradition of fostering Black scholarships and leadership. Her decision was more than personal, it was political. It was a statement about who gets to tell America's stories from what vantage point. This incident laid bare a deep issue, the extent of which educational institutions are willing or unwilling to confront America's racial history honestly. It raised questions about freedom of thought, the influence of politics on education, and the cost of telling uncomfortable truths. And next we have the summary of legal efforts aimed to silence the critical race theory. Critical race theory has become a political lightning rod in schools, courthouses, and state houses across the country. There has been a concerted effort to discredit the critical race theory using three main strategies, and that'll be defamation, confrontation, and co-optation. Defamation paints critical race theory as a dangerous and divisive and a big threat to white children rather than the lens of understood injustice. Confrontation blurs the lines between critical race theory, diversity training, and discussions about gender, making it an easier target to put them all as one supposed threat. Co-optation follows by promoting a colorblind ideology suggesting that discussions of race themselves are racist or harmful. Behind these narratives are powerful groups like the Heritage Foundation, the Moms for Liberty, and the Judicial Crisis Network. These organizations have poured resources into campaigns against critical race theory, often lobbying for legislations that ban it in teachings. The Judicial Crisis Network alone has spent over $1 million on anti-critical race messaging. As a result, at least 13 states, mostly in the South, have passed laws that restrict or outban the discussion of systematic racism in public schools and government institutions. These bans often are vague language, leaving teachers unsure about what they can legally say, and the chilling effect on education is real. But there are also countermeasures. Activists, educators, and civil rights lawyers are pushing back, defending academic freedom and advocating for honest education. They argue we can't move forward as a society until we confront the full truth of our past. And that was our presentation on the critical race theory. Thank you for your time.